Welcome to Learning Guitar. I'm Clay Motley. In our previous video, we learned our first three chords, D major, A major, and E major. We learned a few exercises for getting those chords faster on the fretboard and switching from one to the next. Hopefully you're able to do that. But if not, revisit that video or just keep practicing until you can make the changes fairly quickly. That's really, it's going to be very important for this video that you can change chords pretty quick. While playing the correct chords is very important, how you strum those chords is just as important as presenting the style in which you want to play. This is where rhythm comes in. The same chord can be played in a country style, reggae, rock, jazz, the chord never changed, but the rhythm did. We're going to start with a basic strum. Now, while you can use your fingers, this is best done, and I would recommend that you use a pick in your strum hand. If you don't have a pick, a thin but sturdy piece of plastic, an old credit card or a library card or something, even a sturdy, thin piece of cardboard can work. But it should be small enough that it doesn't get in the way of your hand when you're trying to hold it and play the guitar. Technically, the pick is actually called a plectrum. This is a particular type of plectrum called a flat pick. I don't know anyone who calls it a plectrum. Everyone I know calls it a pick. You do hear flat pick from time to time. Flat pickers tend to be the bluegrass players who are playing that. But it's a pick. You can get them at any music store. They can be purchased online, like I said, at your music store if you want, fairly cheaply, just a few dollars for a bag of a dozen or so. The larger chain music stores even have some picks with their name on it that sometimes they give away if you ask them. With your pick in your strum hand, place it between your thumb and your pointer, with the point of the pick facing away from your palm, towards the guitar. The pick should make a 90-degree angle with the strings. So the strings are this way, 90-degree up this way. You'll strum down while the pick bounces off the strings. Squeeze the pick tight enough so it doesn't get knocked out of your hand, but not so tight that the strings sound violent and begin to buzz as you do it. It should give a little, but not enough to get knocked out of your hands. Now, a quick side note, you're going to drop this pick while strumming it. It's part of the learning process, and you'll probably drop it into the sound hole several times. Keep extra picks on hand so that you can just keep playing if that happens. They don't do any harm if they're in there. But there's a trick to get them out if it does happen, and it will happen eventually. Hold the guitar pick flat. So I'm going to drop it in here, right? So hold the guitar flat like this, where you're looking down at the sound hole. And listen for where the pick is. If it's back in this bottom part, try to find it. Gently shake the body until you can bounce the pick where it's right underneath the sound hole on the far edge, right in between this sort of section where the strings and the hole meet here. So I'm just going to shake it around. There it is. It's lined up right here on this bottom edge of the guitar. Okay. What I'm going to do, once I have it situated there, in one smooth, quick motion, I'm going to flip the guitar away from me. I'm going to move it away from me and turn it upside down at the same time. So I'm going to make a big C shape. I'm not just going to spin it because it'll fling the pick somewhere else. I'm going to make this big, wide C shape, and then I'm actually going to end by bringing the guitar down with the hole facing down now. Let's see how this goes. With one simple movement, I can usually get this out the first time. We'll see. Pressure's on now, right? So away from you as you're spinning it towards you, and so that it comes back straight down. Of course not. First try. We'll try it again here. There it is. Move it over. Here we go. All right. Lined up where I want it. There it is. A little bit of shaking, but it got out. Okay, back to strumming. We're going to strum from the top to the bottom. So bring your hand to the top of the guitar and strum down to the bottom. Repeat this 4 times in a row. You want to do a consistent time. The speed at which you strum is called the tempo. And whether you strum fast or you strum slow, it should be consistent. Every strum should be even with the ones before it and the ones after it. Don't make some quick and some slow. Try to keep them all even. Now, most songs are written in what we call 4/4 time, and that means 4 repeated beats. So that's what we're going to be counting to today. Count to 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, with each number representing a downbeat or a down strum. Let's try it. 1, 2, 3, 4. We call that count of 4 one measure or one bar. So you just played one bar. Now you might hear me say measure or bar throughout these video series. Those words are interchangeable. They mean the exact same thing. So let's try to play 2 bars back to back. So we'll be counting 2 sets of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. Let's try it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, you might have counted to 8 instead. It's really best to count to 4 and then count to 4 to begin another count like I did the first time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, etc. In many songs, you're going to find that you have to play several bars of the same chord over and over and over again. Being able to keep track of where you are, the number of bars that you need to play, is really important. And if you're counting to 12 and 16 and 20 and 24, you can lose track of where you are in the song. It's best to count the measures and continue to count to 4. For example, the verses of the song Margaritaville by Jimmy Buffett has 6 measures of D major, followed by 8 bars of A major, and then 2 bars of D major. That's a lot to count if you're trying to count to 32 on those 8 bars. So just count your measures, you'll be great. Okay, this down rhythm is fine, but it's kind of boring. Let's make a rhythm that's a little bit more exciting by adding the upbeat. And just like the name suggests, this is where our hand goes up to play the strum. So rather than moving your hand down and not strumming the strings on the way up, let's go down and this time play the string when our hand comes up. So now we have down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Now, we don't want to give those up strums numbers because they're not as accented as the downbeats are. They're less important, if you wanted to say it that way. Instead, we use the word and to count these upbeats. So we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. If we need to play 2 measures, we just count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Practice playing these bars with all 3 of the chords that you know. Not only does this help your rhythm practice, but it's also helping you learn to continue to learn the chords that you're trying to learn as well. So try them all. Practice on D, practice on A, practice on E. Okay, the next big milestone is putting it all together and being able to change chords while we play a rhythm. This is playing a song on guitar. Now, we're gonna be playing 2 measures per chord, 2 counts of 4, and then we're gonna change chords. Start with any chord you want to, whatever you feel the most confident in, whatever you feel the most comfortable with. Start with that chord, play 2 bars of it, and then switch to either of the other 2 chords and play 2 bars on that one. So I'm going to use D and A. So here's D, 2 and 3 and 4, 2 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 2 and 2 and 3 and 4. Where you're likely to struggle is getting the chord ready to play in time to make the strum without stopping. Most beginners find that they actually stop strumming while they get their chord ready. We actually need to do the reverse. Musically, it's way better if you keep the strum going and don't have the chord ready and fix it as you're strumming, rather than to stop the strum, fix the chord, and then start the strum. You stop the song when you do that. So even if you don't have your chord right, keep strumming no matter what and keep that count going. 3 and 4 and 5 and 2, 3 and 4 and the song sort of stopped. We don't want to do that. Keep that strum going and fix the chord as you go. Now, if you can't get the chord placed before the count ends, go back to the chord exercise and try the 10 rounds in under 15 seconds. If you can get it under 15, then you should have no problem with this. But it may take a while to keep that strum, put those two together. Give it that practice. So I'm going to give you some sample chord patterns, which we call progressions, to practice. When you see chords for the guitar, you usually see them written in some version of this. A vertical line representing the start of a new measure, then the chord for you to play. Then there may be just space, or there may be slashes through the measure. That's your count of 1 through 4. 1 being the chord, 2, 3, and 4 being the space or the slashes. Another vertical line ends the measure and starts a new one. So in our D to A 2-bar song, it would be D, space, D, space, A, space, A, space, and repeat it. For E to A, here's our E to A song. E, and on and on. Start your strumming very slowly in the beginning. If you're strumming fast, then you have to change chords really fast because there's not much time between one chord to the next chord. But if you're strumming slower, using a slower tempo, you have a little bit more time to get your fingers in the next spot. Start off with a slow strum, a slow tempo, and gradually speed up. Now, if these were difficult for you, just keep practicing. You may need to practice your chords a little bit more, maybe you need to get the rhythm down a little bit more. But as they both become smoother for you, you'll be able to put them together. Be patient, keep at it. Now let's try something a little bit more challenging. We're gonna try to do just one measure of each chord, like this, D to A. Let's try E to A. How about A to D? Remember what it is you're practicing. If you're working on getting the chord right, then focus on that and kind of ignore any mistakes you make in strumming. If you're working on keeping the rhythm steady, then focus there and kind of ignore if you play a wrong string. When you decide to work on changing chords in rhythm, then focus on that, not stopping your rhythm and getting the chord right. Don't get caught up on wrong strum direction or the wrong note if you're working on something different. Focus on the thing you want to get better at and kind of ignore the rest temporarily and then go back and fix that as well. Now, I've said it many times, but remember to be patient. Put in the reps and you will see progress. We've been rotating between ups and down strums with every pick news and with every time our pick moves. For every rhythm we do, we're going to continue this rotation of up and down. But what's going to change is when we hit the strings. We can move our hand up and down and never hit the strings, or we can move them up and down and hit the strings every time. Or we can choose random spots of where we choose to hit the strings and when we choose not to. We just don't play the strings, but we keep moving our pick no matter what. For this new rhythm, we're going to return to just the down strum for beat 1. We're going to skip the way up, and then we're going to play down for beats 2 through 4, like this. 1, skip the and, 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now if you notice, I've been doing this for a while, placing my hands on the strings so they don't ring out. This is called muting the strings, and it can be helpful when you're learning new rhythms to feel that pattern, to feel that rhythm without the sound and the noise of all the strings as you're just trying to practice. It also can give you a break from squeezing the chords if your fingers are a little sore. Once you get this rhythm down, 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 up, down, up, down, up, then practice it with any and all of the chords that you have. Practice changing back and forth with that new rhythm. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Okay, our new rhythm number 3. We're going to skip the up strum after beats 1 and 3, but play everything else. So it can also be looked at as sort of 2 halves repeated. Sounds like this. 1, skip the and. 2 and 3, skip the and. 4 and. 1, 2 and 3, 4 and. 1, 2 and 3, 4 and. Now it's kind of, you might hear it as 3 strums in a row, but because of where the 1 is and where the accent is, it's not really 3 strums in a row, although it is. It's really 1, 2 and, then repeated 3, 4 and. Here, make sure you're focusing on hearing that particular sound. Bump, 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 bump. Take these different rhythms and mix and match them with all the chords that you know. You may find it's starting to sound like a song that you might already know, and it probably is. Remember, keep practicing. Be patient. You may not even realize how much better you're getting, but you are. Keep at it, and I'll see you in the next video.